We're told school exists to help kids learn, but the truth is its real goal is to systematically erode their love of learning. After 30 years of home education, I've seen so many school kids start out curious and enthusiastic and end up convinced learning is boring or pointless. That's what happened to me before I was unschooled. But there's a way to turn things around. In this video, I'll show you exactly how schools use their curriculum to suppress curiosity and the simple way to help kids rediscover a love of learning that lasts for life. But why would schools want to stop kids being curious in the first place? Well, to understand why schools don't want curious kids, you have to understand what happened in Prussia 200 years ago. In 1806, Prussia, which was once a major European force and is now part of modern-day Germany, was crushed by Napoleon in two simultaneous battles that shattered its military pride and shook the nation to its core. The military elite blamed the defeat on a lack of discipline. Too much individual thinking and not enough discipline. So Prussia built a new education system, one designed not to inspire kids, but to produce loyal, obedient citizens who would serve the state's interests. Education became a tool of social control. Standardized curricula, constant supervision, rigid order. Kids were sorted into tiers, with the top tier being trained to lead. And everyone else? They were taught just enough to be useful to the state, but not enough to question. And it worked. So well, in fact, that industrialists like Rockefeller copied it worldwide. Why? Well, Rockefeller didn't back the model because it nurtured genius, but because it built him a workforce that didn't cause problems. Curious kids grow into adults who ask questions. Obedient workers, however, just show up, follow the script, and don't make waves. So the Prussian education model was exported around the world, not to foster curiosity, but to produce obedient workers. So it's not a mistake that schools erode children's curiosity. It's intentional. It's built into the system. But how do they actually do it? Think about what it's actually like in school. Students are told where to go and when to go there, when to start and stop, even if they're fully engaged. Oh, you're enjoying history? Doesn't matter. Bell's gone, time for biology. You're mid-flow writing your best story? Tough. Close the book, move on. Kids are jostled from subject to subject, whether they're ready to move on or not. But surely it's important that kids do all these subjects. After all, how will they know what they're interested in if they don't get exposed to them? See, that's the lie. We're told that cramming kids' days with all these subjects is in their best interest because they get to experience and learn all of them. The real effect, though, is that over time, all that jumping from subject to subject, never getting to go deep, chips away at your natural enthusiasm. By flooding kids with subjects and yanking them from one to the next, the system isn't nurturing curiosity, it's breaking it. That's the point. The system isn't designed for immersing yourself until you're full up and ready to move on. It's designed to break your natural rhythm, to prove you'll stop, switch, and comply on command. But they can't know you're switching on command just because you go where you're told. After all, if you're told to do maths and you go do maths, it might be because you actually want to do maths. And that's no good. Schools need you to go do maths when you don't want to do maths, because then you're being obedient. So how do they ensure you're learning obedience and not simply following your interests? Well, they don't just make you do one thing you're not interested in. They make you do dozens, because you can't be interested in everything. They have to give you enough instructions to comply with to know that you're doing what you're told because you're being told and not because you want to do it. And if from time to time you do something you're interested in, that's okay, because you'll be yanked away from it before you're ready. If you cooperate, they know you're following instructions, not your curiosity. And of course, if you don't comply, you get punished. But over time, that constant stop-start routine, never being able to follow your own interests, chips away at your natural enthusiasm. You're made to jump from subject to subject, regardless of interest or meaning. And bit by bit, year by year, it trains you to be more obedient and less curious. Until one day, you're a teenager who doesn't care about learning at all. Because learning itself has come to feel pointless. And honestly, what is the point of learning if you're never allowed to go deep, never allowed to explore what you care about? There is no point. And that's the goal. That's what school was designed to do, to make learning pointless. It's precisely because children are exposed to so many different subjects in this way that they lose their love of learning. Real learning happens when you get to follow your own thread all the way to the end. So how do you rekindle a love of learning when it's been squeezed out of you? Let me tell you how I got it back after I started being home educated. When I left school, I had no interest in learning. I was tired of being told what to do, what to care about, and honestly, angry from years of being bullied. And for a long time, I didn't want to learn anything. For months, I wandered through life through this quiet and sometimes not so quiet rebellion, like, you can't make me. But when I finally realized that no one was going to make me learn, that's when I started to think, well, if no one's going to try to make me learn, what do I want to learn? It was in that moment that my curiosity came back. But how can you do the same for your kids? Here's the easiest way to think about it. When you have no say in what matters to you, no choice in what to learn, where to go, or how to spend your time, you have no control over your learning or really your life. And when you're out of control, your stress rises. Add in tests, bullying, cliques, and constant pressure to prove yourself, and kids end up stuck in a stress response. And when the brain is stressed, it can't learn. The parts of the brain that handle learning and focus simply shut down. So if you want to reignite a child's love of learning, you simply have to lower stress. Get them out of fight or flight. Because once their nervous system feels safe again, curiosity comes back on its own. You don't have to force it. So watch this video where I'll show you the 2 most important things to do to lower stress, get school out of your system, and reignite a love of learning.